Hey guys, as always, it's the Digital Pumpkin Cat back at you with another video. This doesn't really have anything to do with 2024, but yet, I think it should be a video on my channel, whether now or in the future, and I was bored, so here we are. And anyway, I want to talk about Spirit Halloween's 2024, not 2024, 2020 year. And now everybody's saying this is probably the worst year Spirit has had in a very long time, if not their worst year yet. In my opinion, that the worst year Spirit Halloween has ever had, or I mean, in terms of modern day standards, I guess from 2015 to now would definitely be no doubt 2022. And personally, I really, really liked this year, 2020. I know everybody disliked it, well, because we got some pretty bad props, and I know, and I will talk about those, but, I mean, for the most part, I know the theme might not do anything Halloween-y, that's why we've been getting ISCs like the factory and the cemetery now. Now we gotta have the carnival, which you could argue isn't very Halloween-y, but hey, I'll take it. And, I mean, it points for their creativity here, but you gotta remember, this was at the time when COVID struck the planet, so, it's hard to do really anything. When it's come to designing stores, or designing ISC pieces for people to actually see, or even trying to open a Spirit Halloween, just in case, people can die, because COVID was most definitely at its peak right here. And, everybody was just panicking. And we got to give them some leeway for that. COVID struck unsuspectedly and definitely unexpected for Spirit because, of course, they had to redesign everything. And we did get some concepts for the ISC you see here. Reaper's Cave, I believe it's called. I don't know, but correct me if I'm wrong. Anyway, Reaper's Cave, that's what I'm going to be calling it. We did get some concept art at the beginning of the year showing what the cave was supposed to be, I guess. And it looked amazing. There was a walkthrough. It was more of a volcano than a cave, per se. And again, it just looked awesome. It showed Krampus in the stores. It showed a great amount of props and just a very menacing ISC piece. But again, that's what it would have been if COVID wasn't there. Now, COVID did struck. They had to downsize it, of course. And, it kind of turned to junk. It had a lot of potential. But then at the end of the day, the product we did get was kind of just a bunch of rocks, honestly. Cardboard rocks, that is. And it was still kind of cool. I mean, it can get the idea over that this was supposed to be a cave, and I do get it. And also, the props did kind of fit in, except the girl props, which unfortunately there were two back there. And, I mean, again, it does kind of work, but it kind of comes off as lazy. And again, we gotta give them a lot of leeway for COVID. And now the front ISC. I'm sorry for talking about the back ISC first, but I was already on the COVID topic. So the front ISC is obviously the island village, and I think a village is a very unique idea for an ISC. But when it comes to what this came out, it again, just like the cave, it had potential, but it didn't live up to expectations or hopes, and it definitely came across as lazy, just like the cave. And we can now see patterns with the ISCs, and it might, 50% of it might be because of COVID, but that other percentage is possibly because village theme isn't really as unique and eye-catching as a village in Spirit Halloween is. It definitely wasn't the best execution, and I get it. A whole village to be made out of cardboard is definitely hard. I mean, they did like the huts, but that didn't really work. If you want a village, you gotta do like houses. And again, houses would take a ton of time, money, and a lot of that stuff, and especially when we were in a time of COVID. Who knows? Maybe that was the actual plan. Actually, the actual plan was to have this kind of a deserted island, per se, instead of a village. And it had like a plane, it had Dr. Needles, it had Miss Mercy in the front, I see. It was all very crazy, and I love what it was supposed to be. But again, some percent of the thing that it didn't turn out as might have been because of COVID, and some percent might have been because Spirit was running out of ideas, running out of time, and needed to think of something, and, they came out with this. But even though it was COVID, and even though they were on sort of a time crunch here, it's definitely not the worst turnout. It had the flames, it had a bunch of good props. We'll talk about the props later, but in terms of the IC, hey, it had a walkthrough, and it was very much an open walkthrough because of COVID. It had, like, the hay roofs, and I really like that. They even found ways to incorporate props like Twisted Tina into there, and it had Jack the Reaper all over, which is great. It had just the jumping spiders all inside, and I think the jumping spiders were all used nicely, and I can't say that for all ISCs, so that's really great, and I've definitely liked the front ISC better, but for the most part, considering the time they were in and the time crunch they were in, it definitely isn't the worst turnout as people say. I still am pretty disappointed, but looking back, I do appreciate it much more. Let's talk about the props, shall we? Front ISC. Now, we won't really be talking about online onlys. There weren't much online onlys per se. We did have things like Catacomb Creature. We had Cuddles, Mr. Salty, and Limiting Zombie, Gatekeeper, and I think that's all. But yeah, they're pretty cool. Honestly, a lot of them are pretty mid, but we had some cool returners. And the front ISC was really great, honestly. We got what people forget about this year is we had a ton of amazing props, in my opinion. And just breathtaking props. And I really, really love the props from 2020. I know we got one of the worst, or I guess one of the more controversial props this year, as you can see on screen. And I don't want to let that take away from the whole lineup, but it definitely subtracts a few points, because that thing, in my eyes, is just bad. Although I do appreciate Johnny Punk a little more. I'm not going to say he's good. I'm sorry. He's honestly pretty mid. Okay? That's the best I can go with him. But we had flashbacks that people have been demanding, like Uncle Charlie, and he came back modernized. And I know that might be called generic, and I really do wish we got the old Uncle Charlie back, but, come on, the modern one has its quality, it has it's good for modern time, it has a quality speaker now, it has a quality build too, and, the only bad thing about him was his updated look, but other than that, honestly, it's just the face. If they change the face, and it's not even big changes to the face, I don't know, make the nose bigger, take out the derpy eyes, I don't know, make the chin a little bigger, give him some big pointy teeth. Done. There's your OG Uncle Charlie. And maybe they could incorporate the mouth movement in the OG one. That would be pretty cool. I don't want Spirit to not change the flashbacks per se. I think they should be modernized in terms of looks. But I definitely think they should add on to what they used to be instead of changing their whole look like they did with Charlie here. And my complaint with these props, we got a lot of returning props from last year, not flashbacks, but returning props into the front of the theme. And I really wish there were more new props, because I just listed a ton of online onlys. And the Plague Doctor. I really, really love the Plague Doctor. To be honest, none of these props, maybe except for the Butcher and Jack Straw, fit in the theme. And again, I know it's hard to put props on a beach. You're not going to make a beach ball with teeth. But why have a beach in the first place? They had a great concept, but it kind of turned out to this. And honestly, putting Pennywise on here does not work, but so be it. It's a Halloween shop, people, not a Hollywood movie. Although I guess that comes later in 2021, but that's besides the point. I think a bunch of the new props, not the returning props, a bunch of the new props, definitely a lot of them that were in stores needed to be online only. And a lot of the online only ones needed to be in stores. Just like, I honestly think Cuddles is very underrated. A lot of underrated props from this year, besides the year. And Cuddles, I really wanted it in the store. I don't know about you guys, but I really wanted a lot more flashbacks in the store. Limb Eating Zombie would be a great one. And I don't know, Mr. Salty, even though I think his execution was pretty terrible, I do think he needed to be in the stores. Plague Doctor, no doubt. Take Cratchy out of the theme and just throw him right next to the Butcher. Like, I personally think no returning prop should be in the front theme. Honestly, I think the front theme should be reserved for new ones only. And good new ones. Not new ones like Johnny Punk new. I'm talking new ones like the Butcher and the Plague Doctor new. Don't just throw them in online only. And, I wish there were more new props in the theme, and I think that kind of taken away from the look and stuff. But if we just had a little more new props in the theme, I would be much more happy. And as you can see here, Crouchy, we've got Demonic Dahlia, although I really loved how they incorporated the Hauntress in there. Just a great prop at a great price that I did not get my hands on, but hopefully will in the future if it ever comes back or ever gets a reskin out of it. I doubt it, because we got the Ghostface and, that was bunkus, but, just the jump scare with the Hauntress was amazing. We got the Jumping Spider, too, speaking of jump scares, Frighten the Box. The point is, we have a lot of good jump scares in this theme. And, a lot of people complain about the Jumping Spider as a prop, too. The new one, of course, the red and black one. But honestly, in my opinion, and probably your opinion too, it beats the OGs. So that right there is basically beating the classics. So, I can't complain. I guess you can count Peekaboo as a jump scare. So, we got a lot of good jump scares. You know me, I always love the jump scare props in the front theme. I think it's great that Spirit does that. Another complaint with 2022, I think they did a lot of good jump scare props in 2023. And I love how they threw those all in stores. And I wish there were more. I just wish there were more new props. And, the new props that we got this year were honestly really, really good. And I know a lot of people will disagree, but that's my opinion. Like, Harvestor Souls here, I know he's in the back theme, but honestly, I want the new props. I'm not saying just throw all the trashy, bad, bottom of the barrel of this year props in the back theme. I'm saying they threw too much returners in the front theme and in the store overall, and too much great props in the back theme. In my eyes, the whole front theme looked like it was supposed to be just returners from 2022 and just mid-props from, not 2022, returners from 2019. Oh my god, I can't talk. And just mid-props from 2020. But the back theme, it had props like Nightcrawler. It had props like Harvester of Souls. Miss Mercy was sometimes there. And, it was, the back theme was honestly, again, the whole theming is much worse than the front, but In terms of the props that were there, I really wish they switched out with the front theme because I think those props in the back theme should be front and center. I mean, maybe they didn't incorporate them because of the scare factor, but you have things like Crouchy center. So, I mean, I think you can put Harvester Souls up there. Come on. But again, a lot of great props this year. I'll give them some leeway on the theme because again, it was COVID. And I just think this year gets overlooked too much, if you know what I mean. And I hope you know what I mean, because I really think we can just look back at this year and maybe just say, hey, maybe this wasn't such a bad year. Because I would really appreciate that if you did. I personally was a big fan of this year, and thinking about COVID, I definitely gave it leeway, and I definitely thought the props were very, very good and just great. 2022 was definitely the worst year so far in my eyes. I hope I can't say the same for this carnival theme coming up, but I mean, I have high hopes. And thanks for watching. As always, Digital Pumpkin Cat, like and subscribe. Hope 2020 can get the hype it deserves.